Okay, go watch the original video. This is debate.
That was tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single year. Senator,
that is
that's the math.
absolutely not true. That
Is he
tax
only
bill-
cutting? Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cut?
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation. Okay?
Please.
Okay.
Dude, Kamala Harris is so triggered.
Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. He has been
How? Are you just gonna go discriminate against the rich?
very clear about that. Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that.
He hasn't been in the debates, the Democratic debates. If I were a good YouTube channel, I'd roll the clip of saying, I would like to end fracking.
Joe Biden is the one who, during the Great Recession, was responsible for the Recovery Act that brought America back. And now the Trump-Pence administration wants to take credit when they rode the coattails of Joe Biden's success for the economy that they had at the beginning of their term. Of course, now the economy is a complete disaster.
Yeah, wonder why.
But Joe Biden, on the one hand, did that. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who has reigned over a recession that is being compared to the Great Depression. On the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who was responsible with President Barack Obama for the Affordable Care Act,
which turned into a disaster.
Over 20 million Americans and
okay, I remember watching a video of someone who was on Obamacare, saying, you were either so poor you couldn't afford it, or you were too rich to get good benefits. There was no in between.
And protected people with pre-existing conditions, and what it also did is it saved those families who otherwise were going bankrupt because of hospital bills they could not afford. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who's in court right now, trying to get rid of.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, it's an invasion of privacy.
The Affordable Care Act, which means that you will lose protections if you have pre-existing conditions. And this is very important, Susan.
Yes,
and it's
we need to give Vice President.
He interrupted me, and I'd like to just finish, please. If you have a pre-existing condition, heart disease, diabetes, breast cancer, they're coming for you. If you love someone who has a pre-existing condition,
they're
coming for you.
Yeah, that's a bit of the boogeyman argument. Oh, well, this person bad, therefore he's coming after you.
If you are under the age of 26 on your parents' coverage, they're coming for you.
Senator Harris, thank you.
That
give you a chance to respond.
Well, I hope we have a chance to talk about health care, because Obamacare was a disaster.
It was.
The American people remember it well. President Trump and I have a plan to improve health care and to protect pre-existing conditions for every American. But look,
please explain more.
Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president.
Wait, what did Kamala say?
But look, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president that you would ban fracking. Joe Biden looked at a supporter in the eye and pointed and said, I guarantee that we will abolish fossil fuels. They have a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal.
That is true.
Susan, that your newspaper, USA Today, said really wasn't that very different from the original Green New Deal. More taxes, more regulation, banning fracking, abolishing fossil fuel, crushing American energy, and economic surrender.
And they're going to need those states that have fracking. And if they say do their own research and find those clips, which do exist, seriously, if you just search up Joe Biden says he's going to ban fracking, I guarantee you they're going to be there. They might see, oh, crud, Joe Biden said that he wants to ban fracking. Oh, no, better vote for Trump.
China is a prescription for economic decline. President Trump and I will keep America growing. The V-shaped recovery that's underway right now will continue with 4 more years of President Donald Trump.
Thank you very, very much, Vice President Pence. Once again, you've provided the perfect segue to a new topic, which is climate change. And
Ooh.
Vice President Pence, I'd like to pose the first question to you. This year, we've seen record-setting hurricanes in the South. Another one, Hurricane Delta, is now threatening the Gulf. And we have seen record-setting wildfires in the West.
I did an entire video on this. Just go look for it. I don't remember what I titled it, but I did an entire video on this, and to summarize it, it's California's fault. They got federal money to clear out the forest, and they didn't.
Do you believe, as the scientific community has concluded, that man-made climate change has made wildfires bigger, hotter, and more deadly, and have made hurricanes wetter, slower, and more damaging? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. Well, first, I'm very proud of our record on the environment and on conservation. According to all of the best estimates, our air and land are cleaner than any time ever recorded. Our water,
which I can say, I can actually drive into LA without suffocating.
Is among the cleanest in the world. And just a little while ago, the president signed the Outdoors Act, the largest investment in our public lands and public parks in 100 years. So President Trump has made a commitment to conservation and to the environment. Now, with regard to climate change, the climate is changing. The issue is, what's the cause? And what do we do about it? President Trump has made it clear that we're going to continue to listen to the science. Now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would put us back in the Paris Climate Accord. They'd impose the Green New Deal, which would crush American energy, would increase the energy costs of American families.
It would also cost a stupid amount of money.
Their homes, and literally would crush American jobs. President Trump and I believe that the progress that we have made in a cleaner environment has been happening precisely because
they support the Green New Deal as a bit of the boogeyman argument again.
Have a strong free market economy. You know, what's remarkable is the United States has reduced CO2 more than the countries that are still in the Paris Climate Accord, but we've done it through innovation, and we've done it through natural gas.
There's also a better way to do it. They're called carbon filters, and they basically just take carbon from the atmosphere and produce it into plastics and gases. So, one, you don't have to have a socialist government. That's always a plus. And two, you get to prevent less carbon. So,
Yes, and fracking, which, Senator, the American people can go look at the record. I know Joe Biden says otherwise now, as you do, but the both of you repeatedly committed to abolishing fossil fuel,
which is definitely true,
banning of fracking. And so by creating the kind of American innovation, we're actually steering toward a stronger and better environment. With regard to wildfires, President Trump and I believe that forest management has to be front and center, and
it does, because if you don't, you're going to have to let it burn. Like they do in the national parks. They don't stop fires because, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's continue.
Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes, the National Oceanic Administration tells us that actually as difficult as they are,
Thank you, Vice President.
There are no more hurricanes today than there were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarmists use hurricanes and wildfires to try and sell their bill of goods of a Green New Deal. And President Trump and I are going to always put American jobs and American workers first.
Senator Harris, as the Vice President mentioned, you co-sponsored the Green New Deal in Congress. But Vice President Biden said in last week's debate that he does not support the Green New Deal. But if you look at the Biden...
1 second. Okay, that clip was saying, so he said, the debater asked, would you support the Green New Deal? Joe Biden said, yeah, we're going to go and enact the Green New Deal. This is paraphrasing, by the way. And then Trump asked, so do you support the Green New Deal? And he said, no. I'll find the clip because it's too good. Okay, here's the clip.
Billions of dollars on flooding seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happening just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. That didn't happen before. They're because of global warming. We make up 15% of the world's problem. We, in fact, but the rest of the world, we've got to get them to come along.
China
That's why
makes
we have to
27.
get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does. India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is not my plan.
That's
the Green
well,
New
you want to
Deal
rebuild every
is not
building.
my plan.
You want to rebuild every
If he knew anything
wait,
about
wait,
if he
gentlemen,
knew
He
anything
made a
about
statement about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
That is
What
not
he
true.
did
Sir,
is he
you're done
said
this segment.
he called
Mr.
the
Vice-
military
Mr. Vice President,
stupid bastards.
I
And he
did
said
not
it on
say
tape.
that.
He said
Mr.
stupid bastards.
Please,
He
sir,
said it.
stop.
I would never
I
say
would
that.
Play
Stop.
it. Play it.
Go ahead. Mr.
You're on
Vice
tape.
President answered his final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
the economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support
build
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
You support?
No, I don't support the Green New
You
Deal.
don't? Oh, well, that's...
Did you guys hear that? Here, I'll roll back the clip.
The Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
You support the
Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support-
build.
We're not going to build plants that are not great polluting plants.
Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
And then he said before that, he said the Green New Deal will pay for itself.
You support?
No, I don't support the Green New
Oh,
Deal.
you don't? Oh, well, that's a...
What? Those are contradictory. Let's continue.
Harris campaign website, it describes the Green New Deal as a crucial framework. What exactly would be the stance of a Biden-Harris administration toward the Green New Deal? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. So, first of all, I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact. That is a fact. I will repeat that Joe Biden has been very clear that he thinks about growing jobs, which is why he will not increase taxes for anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. Joe Biden's economic plan, Moody's, which is a reputable Wall Street firm, has said will create 7 million more jobs than Donald Trump.
Why are you trusting a Wall Street firm? I don't know, whatever.
And part of those jobs that will be created by Joe Biden are going to be about clean energy and renewable energy.
Kind of like the Green New Deal. Think about that.
As you see, Joe understands that the west coast of our country is burning, including my home state of California. Joe sees what is happening on the Gulf states, which are being battered by storms. Joe has seen and talked with the farmers in Iowa, whose entire crops have been destroyed because of floods. And so
Iowa? Floods? Whatever.
Joe believes, again, in science. I'll tell you something, Susan. I served, when I first got to the Senate, on the committee that's responsible for the environment. Do you know this administration took the word science off the website and then took the phrase climate change off the website? We have seen a pattern with this administration, which is they don't believe in science.
Okay, that's a bad argument. Just because they take science off the website, and then you say they took climate change, that's saying that they don't believe in science. Which is obviously not true because of the COVID thing.
And Joe's plan is about saying we're going to deal with it, but we're also going to create jobs. Donald Trump, when
Kind of like the Green New Deal.
asked about the wildfires in California, and the question was, the science is telling us this. You know what Donald Trump said? Science doesn't know. So
No, he didn't. I watched the entire debate. I don't know what you're referencing, but in the debate, he never said that.
let's talk about who is prepared to lead our country over the course of the next 4 years on what is an existential threat to us as human beings. Joe is about saying we're going to invest that in renewable energy. It's going to be about the creation of millions of jobs. We will achieve,
and also the complete destruction of 10 million jobs. But how many jobs is it again?
On what is an existential threat to us as human beings. Joe is about saying we're going to invest that in renewable energy. It's going to be about the creation of millions of jobs.
Yeah. Hope it offsets 10 million jobs lost.
We will achieve net zero emissions by 2050.
Net zero?
Carbon neutral.
Oh, also, you can't guarantee that. You could say we're going to decrease our emissions by 10% at the end of this emission, but you can't say by 2050, because what if, I don't know, Ronald Rump comes along and says, actually, no.
By 2035, Joe has a plan. This has been a lot of talk from the Trump administration, and really it has been to go backward instead of forward. We will also re-enter the climate agreement with pride.
Senator Harris just said that climate
You don't even know what the Paris Accord is.
change is an existential threat. Vice President Pence, do you believe that climate change poses an existential threat?
As I said, Susan, the climate is changing. We'll follow the science. But once again, Senator Harris is denying the fact that they're going to raise taxes on every American. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that on day one he was going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. Those tax cuts delivered $2,000 in tax relief.
And Pence is actually being smart, because who likes taxes? And under the Trump tax cuts, they've gotten more money. Now, saying that Joe Biden will repeal those is basically showing that he actually doesn't care.
Tax relief for the average family of four across America. And with regard to banning fracking, I just recommend that people look at the record. You yourself said repeatedly that you would ban fracking. You were the first Senate co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. And while Joe Biden denied the Green New Deal, Susan, thank you for pointing out, the Green New Deal is on their campaign website. And as USA Today said, it's essentially the same plan as you co-sponsored with AOC when she submitted it in the Senate.
Wow, it's almost like they're the exact same thing.
And you just heard the senator say that she's going to resubmit America to the Paris Climate Accord. Look, the American people have always cherished our environment. We'll continue to cherish it. We've made great progress.
National parks, innovation on carbon filtration, and much other things, and the Green New Deal is no longer needed. Okay. If you built hundreds of carbon extraction plants, why not? I probably would oppose it, because, well, where are you getting the money? But I wouldn't be as opposed as the Green New Deal.
Reducing CO2 emissions through American innovation and the development of natural gas through fracking. We don't need a massive $2 trillion Green New Deal that would impose all new mandates on American businesses and American families.
Like efficiency.
Thank you.
Joe Biden wants us
Thank
to
you, Vice
retrofit
President.
4 million
Thank you, Vice
American
President.
business buildings. It makes no sense. It will cost jobs. President Trump
Thank
is
you,
going to
Vice
put
President.
America first. He's going to put jobs first, and we're going to take care of our environment and follow the science.
Thank
But
you, Vice
on
President.
the issue of jobs,
Senator Harris.
let's talk about that. The vice president earlier referred to, as part of what he thinks is an accomplishment, the president's trade war with China. You lost that trade war. You lost it.
He imposed tariffs and is now collecting tax dollars, and the tariffs were significant enough where the companies are starting to move back to America and create more jobs.
What ended up happening is, because of a so-called trade war with China, America lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs. Farmers have experienced bankruptcy because of it. We are in a manufacturing recession because of it.
It's not how the tariffs work.
And when we look at where this administration has been, there are estimates that by the end of the term of this administration, they will have lost more jobs than almost any of
Kind of like completely deleting 10 million jobs.
their presidential administration. And the American people know what I'm talking about. You know, I think about 20-year-olds. You know, we have a 20-year-old, a 20-something-year-old who are coming out of high school and college right now, and you're wondering, is there going to be a job there for me? We're looking at people who are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent by the end of the month. Almost half of American renters are worried about whether they're going to be able to pay rent by the end of the month. This is where the economy is in America right now, and it is because of the catastrophe and the failure of leadership of this administration.
Thank you.
Now you're kind of blaming COVID on them.
Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me give you just 15 seconds to respond, because then I want to move on to
Well, I'd love to respond. Look, lost the trade war with China. Joe Biden never fought it. Joe Biden has been a cheerleader for communist China through over the last several decades. And again, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. When Joe Biden was vice president, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs, and President Obama said they were never coming back. He said we needed a magic wand to bring them back. In our first 3 years after we cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, this administration saw 500,000 manufacturing jobs created. And that's exactly the kind of growth we're going to continue to see as we bring our nation through this pandemic. But a Green New Deal, your massive new mandates, your Paris Climate Accord, it's going to kill jobs this time, just like it killed jobs.
Susan, I just need to respond very briefly.
15 seconds. And
Thank you. Thank you. Joe Biden is responsible for saving America's auto industry, and you voted against it. So let's set the
What are you talking about?
record straight. Thank you.
I'd like to talk about China. We have, as our next topic, we have no more complicated or consequential foreign relationship than the one with China. It is a huge market for American agricultural goods. It's a potential partner in dealing with climate change in North Korea. And in a video tonight, President Trump again blamed it for the coronavirus, saying China will pay. Vice President Pence, how would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Competitors, adversaries, enemies? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Susan. Well, before I leave that, let me speak to voting records if I can. You know, everybody knows that NAFTA cost literally thousands of American factories.
Oh God, yeah, NAFTA. I forgot about that. You know, the one that Trump has a better plan for.
To close. We saw automotive jobs go south of the border. President Trump fought to renegotiate NAFTA. And the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement is now the law of the land. American people deserve to know Senator Kamala Harris was one of only 10 members of the Senate to vote against the USMCA. It was a huge win for American auto workers. It was a huge win for American farmers, especially dairy in the upper Midwest. But Senator, you said it didn't go far enough on climate change, that you put your radical environmental agenda ahead of American auto workers and ahead of American jobs. I think the American people deserve to know that. Is probably why Newsweek magazine said that Kamala Harris was the most liberal member of the United States Senate in 2019. More liberal than Bernie Sanders.
That's hard to believe.
More liberal than any of the others in the United States Senate. So now with regard to China, look, Susan, first and foremost, China is to blame for the coronavirus.
Came from Wuhan?
And President Trump is not happy about it. He's made that very clear, made it clear again today. China and the World Health Organization did not play straight with the American people. They did not let our personnel into China to get information on the coronavirus until the middle of February. Fortunately, President Trump, in dealing with China from the outset of this administration, standing up to China that had been taking advantage of America for decades in the wake of Joe Biden's cheerleading for China, President Trump made that decision before the end of January to suspend all travel from China. And again, the American people deserve to know Joe Biden opposed President Trump's decision to suspend all travel from China. He said
he did.
was hysterical. He said it
Thank
was
you, Vice President
xenophobic.
Pence.
But President Trump
Vice
has
President
stood
Pence,
up
your
to
time is
China.
up.
We're going to continue to stand strong.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
We want to improve the relationship, but we're going to level the playing field. And we're going to hold
Vice President
China
Pence.
accountable for what they did to America with the coronavirus.
Thank you. Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked the Vice President. How would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Are we competitors, adversaries, enemies? You'll have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Susan, the Trump administration's perspective and approach to China has resulted in the loss of American lives, American
Lives? Really? Tell me how.
jobs, and America's standing. There's a weird obsession that President Trump has had with getting rid of whatever accomplishment was achieved by President Obama and Vice President Biden. For example,
Tell me, Obamacare? Because that was a disaster.
they created within the White House an office that basically was responsible for monitoring pandemics.
Isn't that the job of any office?
They got rid of it.
Also, they have a literal task force on pandemics.
Was a team of disease experts that President Obama and Vice President Biden dispatched to China to monitor.
And, well, guess what? China wouldn't play ball with them, so how were they supposed to do anything? Bad point.
What is now predictable and what might happen. They pulled them out. We now are
China, actually.
looking at 210,000 Americans who have lost their lives. Let's look at the job situation. We mentioned before the trade deal, the trade war, they wanted to call it, with China. It resulted in the loss of over 300 manufacturing jobs and a manufacturing recession, and the American consumer paying thousands of dollars more for goods because of that failed war that they called it. Then let's talk about standing. Pew, a reputable research firm, has done an analysis that shows that leaders of all of our formerly allied countries have now decided that they hold in greater esteem and respect Xi Jinping, the head of the Chinese Communist Party, than they do Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief.
Yeah, let's see. Who do we have? We have Angela Merkel. Crazy. Actually, Angela Merkel. Jeez. The hell even is Angela Merkel? France, we have, Mr. Crazy, liberal there. England, Johnson, we don't care about them. I can't think of any more. I'm bad at this.
Commander-in-Chief of the United States. This is where we are today because of a failure of leadership by this administration.
Senator Harris, we've seen changes in the role of the United States in terms of global leadership over the past 4 years. And of course, times do change. What's your definition? We've seen strains with China, of course, as the Vice President mentioned. We've seen strains with our traditional allies in NATO and elsewhere. What is your definition of the role of American leadership in 2020?
That's a good question because she keeps saying failure of leadership.
So, Joe is, I love talking with Joe about a lot of these issues. And, Joe, I think he said it quite well. He says, foreign policy, it might sound complicated, but really it's relationships. So just think about it as relationships. And
so extremely complicated with multiple factors and something that you can't control.
So we know this in our personal and professional relationships. You got to keep your word to your friends. You got to be loyal to your friends. People who've stood with you, got to stand with them. You got to know who your adversaries are and keep them in check. But what we have seen with Donald Trump is that he has betrayed our friends and embraced dictators around the world.
Really? Embrace dictators? Really? Also, first of all, that's a serious accusation. And embracing dictators...
Let's take, for example, Russia.
He actively fought Russia.
So, Russia. I serve on the Intelligence Committee of the United States Senate.
Nobody cares.
America's intelligence community told us Russia interfered
Nope, you're not allowed to leak classified information.
in the election of the President of the United States in 2016
And then the Mueller report completely disproved that.
and is playing in 2020. Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, said the same. But
well, also, to spark public controversy, Russia doesn't even need to interfere with the election. They just need to threaten to interfere with the election, and everybody will think they do, or they did.
Donald Trump, the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, prefers to take the word of Vladimir Putin over the word of the American intelligence community.
So, in other words, yeah, I collude with Russia. Yeah, go me. I collude with Russia. No. It's not gonna take that. Okay, that's kind of like saying, okay, did you eat the cookie? No, I did not eat the cookie. You're lying. You should have trusted your own intelligence community. Okay, I ate the cookie.
You look at our friends at NATO. He has walked away from agreements. You can look at the Iran nuclear deal, which now has put us in a position where we are less safe because they are building up what might end up being a significant nuclear arsenal.
We have a significant nuclear
in
arsenal.
that deal, guys. We were in the Iran nuclear deal with friends, with allies around the country, and because of Donald Trump's unilateral approach to foreign policy, coupled with his isolationism, he pulled us out and has made America less safe. So, Susan, it's about relationships. And the thing that has always been part of the strength of our nation, in addition to our great military, has been that we keep our word. But Donald Trump doesn't understand that because he doesn't understand what it means to be honest.
Thank you, Senator Harris.
You just called Trump dishonest. Okay, fine, you've done that all the time, but whatever.
President, can somebody give me a chance to respond?
Well, thank you. President Trump kept his word when we moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, capital of the state of Israel. When Joe Biden was vice president, they promised to do that, and they never did. We've stood strong.
That's a fair point.
With our allies. But we've been demanding. NATO is now contributing more to our common defense than ever before, thanks to President Trump's leadership. We've strengthened our alliances across the Asia-Pacific, and we've stood strong against those who would do us harm. You know, when President Trump came into office, ISIS had captured an area of the Middle East the size of Pennsylvania. But President Trump
kicked ass.
Unleashed the American military, and our armed forces destroyed the ISIS caliphate and took down their leader al-Baghdadi without one American casualty. Al-Baghdadi was responsible for the death of thousands. But notably, America's hearts today are with the family of Kayla Mueller, the parents of which are here with us tonight in Salt Lake City. Today, two of the ISIS killers responsible for Kayla Mueller's murder were brought to justice in the United States. Jihadi John was killed on the battlefield along with the other Beetle. The reality is that when Joe Biden was vice president, we had an opportunity to save
and then we just shipped the money.
Kayla Mueller. Breaks my heart to reflect on it, but the military came into the Oval Office, presented a plan. They said they knew where Kayla was. Baghdadi had held her for 18 months, abused her mercilessly before they killed her. But when Joe Biden was vice president, they hesitated for a month. And when armed forces finally went in, it was clear she'd been moved 2 days earlier. And her family says with a heart that broke the heart of every American that
that's a fair point.
If President Donald Trump had been president, they believe Kayla would be alive today.
Thank you, Vice President.
But we destroyed
that's seriously heart-moving, saying, hey, Joe Biden delayed a month. The military knew where they were. Joe Biden delayed and delayed and delayed until she died. The parents believe if Trump was president, she'd still be alive. Vote Trump. Okay, shoot, come on.
Destroy the ISIS caliphate. And you talk about re-entering the Iran nuclear deal. when the last administration transferred $1.8 billion to the leading state sponsor
Thank you, Vice
of
President.
terrorism. President Donald Trump got us out of the deal.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
And when Qasem Soleimani was traveling to Baghdad
Thank you,
to
Vice
harm
President
to Americans, President Donald Trump took
Thank you,
him
Vice
out.
President Pence.
And America is safer. Our allies are safer. And the American people know President Donald Trump will never
Thank you, Vice President
take
Pence.
action.
I would like to give Senator Harris a chance to respond, but not at such great length because, of course, there are other topics we want to talk about.
But I would like equal time.
Yes,
Thank you.
please go ahead.
First of all, to the Mueller family, I know about your daughter's case, and I am so sorry.
Then you wouldn't be running for Biden.
I'm so sorry. What happened to her is awful, and it should have never happened. And I know Joe feels the same way. And I know that President Obama
Which is why he delayed a month.
feels the same way. But you mentioned Soleimani. Let's start there. So after the strike on Soleimani, there was a counter strike on our troops in Iraq. And they suffered serious brain injuries. And do you know what Donald Trump dismissed them as? Headaches. And this is about a pattern of Donald Trump's, where he has referred to our men who are serving in our military as suckers and losers. Donald Trump, who went to
Kind of like Joe Biden.
Arlington Cemetery and stood above the graves of our fallen heroes and said, what's in it for them? Because of
What's in it for them? What's war? Seriously. How is that not respectful? They died for what?
course, he only thinks about what's in it for him. Let's take what he said about John McCain, a great American hero. And Donald Trump says he doesn't deserve to be called a hero because he was a prisoner of war. And this is very important when you want to talk about who is the current commander-in-chief and what they care about and what they don't care about.
Lives.
Public reporting that Russia had bounties on the heads of American soldiers. And you know what a bounty is? It's somebody puts a price on your head and they will pay it if you are killed. And Donald Trump had talked at least 6 times to Vladimir Putin and never brought up the subject. Joe Biden would never do that.
Thank you.
Joe Biden would hold Russia to account for.
In fact, he was vice president and never did that.
Any threat to our nation's security or to our troops who are sacrificing their lives for the sake of our democracy and our safety.
Thank you, Senator Harris. This is such an important issue, but we have other important issues as well. And
Susan,
I want to make sure we have a chance.
I really have to
talk
respond to that. Look, she has
15 seconds because
Well, I got to
we're
have
trying
more
to
than
keep.
that. Look,
Well, I'm sorry, Vice President,
Look,
but you've had more time than she's had so far.
Slanders against President Donald Trump regarding men and women of our armed forces are absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice
My
President
son is
Pence.
a captain in the United States Marine Corps. My son-in-law is deployed in the United States Navy. I can assure all of you, with sons and daughters serving in our military, President Donald Trump not only respects but reveres all of those who serve in our armed forces, and any suggestion otherwise is ridiculous.
Thank you,
also
Vice
say
President Pence.
the
Vice
The
President
American
Pence,
people deserve,
Vice
Susan, the
President
American
Pence,
people
I
deserve to
didn't,
know.
Vice President,
This is starting to turn
Pence,
into the Trump debate.
I did not, excuse me,
Susan, the
I did
American
not
people
create
deserve
the
to know
rules for tonight.
Joe Biden.
Your
and Trump-
campaigns agreed to the rules for tonight's
I-
debate with the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'm here to enforce them, which involves moving from one topic to another, giving roughly equal time to both of you,
Go right
which
ahead.
is what I'm trying very hard to do.
Go right ahead.
So I want to go ahead and move to the next topic, which is an important one, as the last topic was, and that is the Supreme Court.
Ooh.
On Monday, the Senate Judiciary Committee is scheduled to open hearings on Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court. Senator Harris, you'll be there as a member of the committee. Her confirmation would cement the court's conservative majority and make it likely open to more abortion restrictions, even to overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling. Access to abortion would then be up to the states. Vice President Pence?
How it should be. A democratic election, not some federal mandate.
You're the former governor of Indiana. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want Indiana to do? Would you want your home state to ban all abortions? You have 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
Well, thank you for the question, but I'll use a little bit of my time to respond to that very important issue before. The American people deserve to know Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, was responsible for the death of hundreds of American service members. When the opportunity came, we saw him headed to Baghdad to kill more Americans. President Trump didn't hesitate. And Qasem Soleimani is gone. But you deserve to know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually criticized the decision to take out Qasem Soleimani. It's really inexplicable, but with regard to
why?
Joe Biden, it's explainable. Because history records that Joe Biden actually opposed the raid against Osama bin Laden. It's absolutely essential that we have a commander-in-chief who will not hesitate to act to protect American lives and to protect American service members, and that's what you have in President Donald Trump. Now, with regard to the Supreme Court of the United States, let me say, President
What do you want to say?
Trump and I could not be more enthusiastic
Okay,
about the opportunity to see Judge Amy Coney Barrett become Justice Amy Coney Barrett. She's a brilliant woman, and she will bring a lifetime of experience and a sizable American family.
and that's the end of this video. Bye.